to me very carefully. What I'm about to tell you is something you can't miss. Right now, Thailand is drowning in chaos. Whole villages, bridges, and cars are being swallowed by deadly floods. And if you skip this video, you will miss the shocking truth I'll reveal at the end, something every one of us needs to hear. So stay with me till the last second. Northern Thailand, usually calm, green, and full of life, has turned into a nightmare. Cars swept away like toy boats, bridges broken into pieces, villages underwater. In Chiang Mai and Mae Hong Son, non-stop rain from Typhoon Kajiki poured down with such force that rivers exploded over their banks in the middle of the night. Families were asleep when walls of water crashed through their homes. Imagine waking up to the sound of thunder. But it's not thunder, it's your own river destroying everything. People ran barefoot into the dark, climbing rooftops, clutching trees, and screaming for help. Rescue crews are risking their lives, fighting raging currents just to reach those trapped. Officials say this is the worst flooding Thailand has seen in over 20 years. But listen carefully. The story behind how this happened will shock you even more. So don't go anywhere. This disaster didn't even start in Thailand. It began hundreds of miles away, in the South China Sea. Typhoon Kajiki, with winds close to 95 miles per hour, slammed into Vietnam. Then it tore through Laos. By the time it reached Thailand, it was weaker, but more dangerous. Why? Because it combined with monsoon rains. Think of it like this. A storm plus a monsoon equals a giant machine of destruction. In just 24 hours, Chiang Mai recorded 12 inches of rain. That's more than triple the normal amount for a whole month. Hillsides turned into waterslides, sending floods and landslides crashing into homes below. This wasn't just bad luck. This was a recipe for disaster. And Thailand was right in the center. It happened around 2:30 a.m. on August 26th. While most people slept, the Mae Hong River burst its banks. Within minutes, Banthup village was underwater. Wooden homes collapsed like matchsticks. Vehicles floated away. Entire farmlands vanished, one farmer said. We had no time to take anything. The water came so fast, we just ran. By sunrise, highways were ripped apart, rescue trucks stalled, and whole communities cut off. People clung to trees for hours, waiting in darkness for help that could barely reach them. And remember, I promised, the most shocking part of this disaster is still coming. Stay with me. When the sun finally rose over northern Thailand, people hoped it would bring relief. But instead, daylight showed the full horror. What was once peaceful farmland and family homes was now a brown ocean of destruction. Entire neighborhoods had disappeared. Streets people walked on every day were gone, buried under mud, water, and debris. In Chiang Mai alone, more than 1,200 residents were forced to leave their homes. Families carried nothing but the clothes on their backs. With nowhere to go, schools and temples turned into emergency shelters. Classrooms became bedrooms. Gym floors turned into crowded sleeping spaces. Monks opened their prayer halls, spreading mats for families who had lost everything overnight. A temple that once echoed with chants now echoed with the cries of children. Meanwhile, helicopters circled the sky, dropping food and water into villages cut off by the floods. From above, these villages looked like tiny islands trapped in a vast, muddy sea. Boats and inflatable rafts struggled to push through violent currents, sometimes flipping over as rescuers tried to pull people out of the water. On the ground, soldiers waded through chest-deep floods, linking arms so they wouldn't be carried away. They carried children on their shoulders, held elderly survivors tightly, and passed crying babies from one person to another just to keep them safe. But even with all this effort, the disaster only spread wider. In Nan Province, more than 6 inches of rain fell in just 24 hours. Rivers overflowed, flooding entire villages in the middle of the night. The Pai River broke its banks, swallowing dozens of homes in seconds. Families woke to the sound of rushing water, grabbing their children and running for their lives. And then came the landslides. Hillsides weakened by days of soaking rain, collapsed without warning. Houses were crushed under rolling walls of mud and rock. Some residents never even had a chance to escape. For thousands of people, there was no way out. Roads were destroyed, bridges gone. The only way to survive was by air rescue. Helicopters became lifelines, lifting families one by one from rooftops and dropping them at crowded relief camps. The morning didn't bring peace. It brought the realization that northern Thailand was facing one of its darkest days in decades. Behind every statistic is a human story. These aren't just numbers, they are mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters. So far, at least 2 lives are confirmed lost. One of them, a 12-year-old girl, was swept away in front of her family's eyes. They tried to run from the raging water, Her parents screamed her name, reaching out their hands, but the current was too strong. Rescuers searched for hours, but she never came back. Others are still missing. Families wait in shelters, staring at the entrance every time someone walks in, hoping it's their loved one. Some clutch photos, asking aid workers if anyone has seen them. For many, there are no answers, but the danger didn't end when the flood slowed down. In fact, another crisis is growing. With clean water systems destroyed and wells contaminated, disease is spreading quickly. Mobile clinics are treating dozens of cases of diarrhea, skin infections, and breathing problems. Children and the elderly are the most at risk. Doctors warn that without urgent help, the health crisis could claim more lives than the flood itself. And then there is the silent damage. Trauma? Survivors sit in crowded shelters, wide awake at night, replaying the moment the river came crashing into their homes. Some say they still hear the roar of the water every time they close their eyes. Children cry in their sleep, parents whisper, wondering how they'll rebuild a life from nothing. Aid workers describe the mood in one word: exhaustion. Not just of the body, but of the spirit. People have lost not only their houses, but also their feeling of safety. A home is supposed to protect you, but for these families, their homes turned into traps. And here's where you need to listen very carefully, because what's happening in Thailand is not just about one country. This is a warning to the entire world. Something bigger, and much more alarming, lies behind this tragedy as the floodwaters begin to recede. Recovery will take months, maybe years. Villages lie in ruins. Farmland is gone. Families are broken. But here's the terrifying truth. This wasn't just one unlucky storm. Experts warn that storms are becoming stronger, stranger, and harder to predict. Typhoon Kajiki is just one example of what's coming in our world. Chiang Mai's tragedy is a warning, not just for Thailand, but for all of us. From Asia to America, nature's power knows no borders. Peaceful valleys can turn into raging seas overnight. The question is not if another disaster will come, it's when, and will we be ready? If this report opened your eyes, don't just scroll away. Hit the like button right now. Share this with someone who cares about what's happening around the world. And subscribe so you never miss these critical updates, and I want to hear from you. Have you ever faced sudden floods or storms in your life? What was it like when nature turned against you in a single moment? Drop your story in the comments below.